Caroline, what I had to do is I had to take it off the tracking and then twist it back on. I was like, the entire lens.
Guys, we need your attention. This is Joanne. She'll be our guide through the house. She'll be our guide through the countryside tour. Remember what we talked about listening to the guides when they speak. So I want to count on you to do that because you'll learn an awful lot. Right now we've just seen quite a bit, but we haven't learned an awful lot. So this will help us learn an awful lot, and I think you'll enjoy this. So just listen to how she describes the house, the farmhouse here, and then when we get on the bus, she'll show us a lot of different things around the countryside. And we'll make one stop, you said, Joanne, once we get on the bus. So we'll make one stop at a place where you can get out. And this is being Sunday, we will not be able to stop at any of the Amish farms. Some of them have gift shops and dairy farm stuff that we won't be able to stop at any of those. So anyway, if you'd give Joanne your attention, that would be great.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Amish country. Now, while you all have cameras, which I see, some of you have these cell phones that work so nicely and everything, a little bit beyond my generation, but I know you're going to want to take pictures. In here, you can take all the pictures that your hearts desire. Just stay with the group. So like this gentleman over here, just keep going along with your pictures. Don't pay any attention to what's going on, okay? Just absorb all the material that I'm going to tell you. Now last night I know you arrived early and you were already in the theater, and it was a long day for you, so I'm going to back up a little bit so that you kind of get a little bit of a foundation to follow through on today, okay? Because we have a lot of time, we can take our time and do this nicely. In the theater you learned about the Amish and their history, small portion. Now when they were over in Europe 450 years ago, they were very severely persecuted. Why? Because of the idea of adult baptism and separation of church and state. Everyone at that point was baptized as an infant. Nobody decided to go home and actually look into their Bibles to come to the conclusion from their readings that persons should be baptized when they were adult and could make the decision for themselves, which some of those folks in that grouping of Swiss Brethren did. So now when they got broken away from that Swiss Brethren group, they were in another smaller group, which also took on the idea of separation of church and state. Now these two ideas, adult baptism, separation of church and state, 450 years ago, were very radical ideas, let's be honest about it. So now they're not popular anymore with political leaders or religious leaders. When they wanted to have church services, they had to go into hiding. Didn't always work. Unfortunately, soldiers would find them, imprison them, and as you saw in the theater last night, thousands were put to death for their faith by being either burned at the stake or drowned. Time progressed, and William Penn came into the picture. William Penn was not Amish, he was not Mennonite, he was an English Quaker, but he also was imprisoned for his religious beliefs, right? It's history. That's the things that have come down to us. If you're not this and they don't like you, you're in problem. Over here, you might end up in jail, okay? But that doesn't mean that the idea or the concept that you had was wrong. It's just that those in rule at that time didn't agree with you, all right? So, William Penn came to this country through the things that you learned before last night, and when he was here, he found out America has religious freedom. Our gift in America is religious freedom. So William Penn decided to send an invitation back to the old world and saying, come to America and make a new life. And in the 1700s, when our ancestors, whatever culture they were, came to this country, among those folks, of course, were Amish. And when the Amish got here, they looked around, they said, great place to farm. Well, we knew how to do that anyhow back in Europe, because that was their lifestyle, that was their vocation. But religious freedom, well, now that's a whole horse of a different color. We don't have to build a church. We don't have to hide. We can do our church services however we so desire. And so they desired then, like they do now, to have their church services right on their properties. So Amish church is held at somebody's property. Sometimes in the house, like this area is set up, and sometimes even in the barn. And now that a lot of them are involved in woodworking shops right on the properties, sometimes they have it right there in the woodworking shop. There are 28,000 old order Amish in this area right now. Every 20 years that number will double. It is growing, it is flourishing, it is not fading away, okay? The ones that are here are separated or divided into church districts. Each district has anywhere between 25, 30, 32 families. A district is about 5 miles, because remember, you're going to travel to that church district in your horse and buggy. Okay. So inside of that district are these amount of families, and church within the district is held every other Sunday. So it now becomes the privilege of a family within that district to host the church services at their property at least once a year. You will follow me, that's easy stuff.